Episode 213. He was convinced. Lance didn't want to participate in the press conference, but after thinking for a while, he decided to come. Not for anything else, he just wanted to show his face in front of the camera. Then he would send a message to Zach through the camera. Maybe he could slap me to death on many levels, but in the film industry, I, Lance, have the final say. On behalf of the company, Lance picked up a pen and signed his name on the contract. The two little people and little flowers also signed their names. From now on, their company would belong to Lance's film company. After the applause and cheers, the four streamers went on stage to perform, singing and dancing. Other than not being good at singing and dancing, everyone was quite good. However, this did not stop them from being very lively. Larry opened the document bag and took out the documents. He stood up and wanted to make this kind of press conference even more lively, but Zach stopped him. In Larry's confusion, Zach took the documents and stood up to look at Lance on the stage. The moment he stood up, Lance also noticed him. He was not proud of himself. He was not good at being proud. When he saw what Zach had in his hand, he did not dare to be proud. Obviously, Zach wouldn't bring a pile of waste paper to him at the scene, so the things in his hands must have been exposed. With his understanding of Zach, if this matter was exposed, the company might encounter great trouble. This was even more troublesome than throwing away hundreds of millions of dollars for no reason. Therefore, when Zach waved the documents to signal him to come down and chat, he did not hesitate. He got up, smiled, and left. In the lounge next to the press conference, Lance ordered the staff to clear out all of the idle people, leaving only Zach and him alone. Sitting on the stool, Zach took out a cigarette and lit it, then signaled Lance to bring one. Lance shook his head and rejected Zach's cigarette. He took the document that Zach threw over. The number of visitors was small, but they were dealt with by the public security department because they molested their female classmates. Although it was later washed clean, the document that was left behind would not be erased just because he had money. As a result, the data stream was useless. The other side of the small volume of traffic had a substitute test incident during the college entrance examination. Moreover, it had a physical conflict with the people from the education department and sent them to the hospital. Although the matter was not reported to the police, there was a live video recording. One of the people Lance just signed a contract with had once been a drinking partner. Later on, during the process of drifting north, he'd been chosen by a certain production crew. Then he slowly slept with the main character until he was now known as a scum. However, many people in the industry could prove that they could not underestimate his skills just because he was young. Therefore, this guy was useless. The other student, a good girl, did not do anything out of line. It was just that her face was fake, and all the photos behind the plastic surgery, as well as the ID photos before the plastic surgery, were all exposed. The kind that would scare away the audience by acting ugly. Therefore, she was useless. There were a total of 4 people signed tonight, and all 4 of them were thunderstruck. There were also countless media outlets at the scene. If Zach got rid of all these people, Lance would not care whether these 4 were useless or not, but this company would really be ruined, and his reputation would be severely affected. Other people would not only doubt their company's judgment in selecting people, but also doubt whether their current actors had some shady information, and they would even see his company as a problematic artist concentration camp. Then, with the media adding fuel to the fire, his company would be completely finished. The share price would definitely drop drastically, and he would not be able to get up again. He did not know how many people would accompany his company to fetch water and play. Zach took a puff of smoke and then said to Lance, "My original intention was to send it out and beat you up. But thinking about it, I think you are also a very capable person in the industry. Just because I stepped in at the last minute and trampled you to death, it was not worth it." Zach's words sounded high and mighty, as if he was standing in the clouds and talking to Lance. However, Lance was not unhappy at all, because he knew what Zach said was true. He wanted to know what Zach was trying to do. When Lance asked the question, Zach said something else. He talked about the screenwriter, Mr. Watson. In order to write a good book, he took the initiative to stay in the mental hospital to experience life. In the end, he became a mental patient. He talked about the actor, Chester. For a good book, he would rather sacrifice his life to film this book. I don't love movies, so I won't have the love for movies like they do. I think it's very simple. I want to film a good movie. I want to film a movie that can represent our country and go to bat for the Golden Award. I don't care about the box office or the cost. I only care about whether this movie can conquer the stage and make my heart feel better. When I think of Mr. Watson and Chester, I don't have to feel guilty. Instead, I'm happy to tell them that we won. Zach's words made Lance's heart tremble. He thought that Zach came for money in the market, but the facts proved that Zach wasn't. Zach just wanted to make a good movie, a movie that could win the Golden Award. So he did it. When Zach gave the cigarette to Lance, Lance did not pick it up. Now, he took the initiative to ask for a cigarette and sat next to Zach. I know what you mean. Don't worry, I won't cause trouble and hunger in this kind of matter. Even if it wasn't for tonight's matter, I wouldn't have caused trouble. It's true that I'm a businessman, but first of all, I'm a noble person. Second, I'm a movie person. Just based on these two identities, I won't go and cause trouble on this matter. Also, I can cooperate with you and share all the filming resources under our company, the distribution resources, and any other resources that your company needs. Furthermore, we don't care about costs, and we don't ask for anything in return. Zach stretched out his hand. Lance did not hesitate and held his hands together. This time, Zach did not argue with him about winning or losing. If he wanted to fight, Lance was already dead. Zach was talking about righteousness with him. Therefore, Lance was convinced, especially since he couldn't do such a thing. He admired Zach even more. If all the movie people in the world were like you, they would have occupied a large piece of land in the world. Zach replied to Lance's praise. Don't give me a hi-hat. It won't change my determination to annex your company. Lance was slightly stunned, and then he smiled. You are really ambitious. Zach replied, we have already set up a film and television company. Wouldn't it be a waste of my time if I don't make it the largest and strongest in the country? Lance was silent for a while, and then said, when I was young, I don't know if you've heard of an adjective. It was very similar to you being very stubborn, but we were more reserved at that time. We usually said that you were very arrogant. Zach curled his lips. That was because you only know of me now. If you knew of me earlier, you would have realized that I have been arrogant for more than 20 years. Lance was amused. You are really arrogant. Zach did not say anything else about this topic. After extinguishing the cigarette butt on the ground, he asked, drink some? Lance nodded. You can have some. That night, the two enemies sat on a table and drank very happily. When Zach woke up the next morning, he saw Lance's face when he opened his eyes. He was so scared that he quickly looked down at his pants. Luckily, they were still there. Episode 214. I can't drag this out any longer. Lance didn't want the fruits of his hard work to be annexed just like that, but he could guess that Zach had a lot of money and a lot of means. It was enough to beat him down and drag him into the Dream Film Company's mouth like a dead dog. Therefore, he did not want to be annexed and could not resist being annexed, so he chose to drag it out. Zach wasn't in a hurry either. The most important thing right now was to shoot the film smoothly and send it in to the Golden Award. Fortunately, the following matters went smoothly. The medical team came to provide treatment for Chester. Director Hamilton also closely watched the production team and fought on the front lines with everyone. With Lance's cooperation, the filming location and filming resources were very easy and did not require any effort. Even under the influence of the publicity department's hype, even the relevant departments also noticed this movie that was not for entertainment, not for earning money, but just for the Golden Award. After the review, they turned on the green light to protect it all the way. In short, everything was developing smoothly and quickly. After that, Zach went to say goodbye to Jessica and had a meal. After that, Zach went to see Kendrick and Tess. He also said goodbye and went to the airport. Zach entered the airport and saw the running man and the GTR who had been waiting there for a long time. However, Donnie was not there. Zach asked, "Where's Donnie?" The running man pointed into the distance. Zach followed his gaze and saw Donnie and Vicky. Zach was shocked. He had said that he had not seen Donnie for a long time. It turned out that he had secretly hooked up with Vicky. This fellow was so fast. It was fortunate that he was not interested in Vicky. Otherwise, Donnie would have robbed him of his chance just to have a taste of her. After being reluctant to part with it for a long time, Donnie finally arrived in front of Zach. "Did you say who you are?" "The bodyguard did, but he didn't say anything else, including even the people from the Middle East." Zach asked, "Then why didn't you say it? The commander of more than 3,000 people. He can barely be considered a commander. How tough is that?" Donnie replied in a serious manner, "Our commander didn't allow me to say. I said he would slap my head again." Zach nodded. "You are smart." "That it is." Donnie was relieved. He knew that Zach really did not have any thoughts about Vicky and would not mind this matter. But just as he turned around with a smile, he received another slap on the back of his head. Donnie was a little stunned. "No, boss, why did you hit me again?" Zach replied, "It felt pretty good, so I couldn't help but try to hit it again." The runner and the GTR laughed, and then they rushed forward to slap the back of Donnie's head. A few of them started fighting in the airport. They looked like good brothers. There was no difference between an employer and a bodyguard. After boarding the plane, Zach turned his head to look outside the porthole. He then gathered his thoughts and started thinking with all his heart. "My beauty Kate, wait for me. Let's see how I'm going to eat you up tonight." At the same time, Lance was in big trouble. "Director Marquez, our company has been attacked by the financial market. We have found out that it was 2 tech companies that set up the movie industry. They joined hands to attack us. Current situation is not optimistic." Lance originally wanted to use the procrastination tactic. He wanted to wait until the time was right. But now, it seemed that he could not delay any longer. Episode 215. This isn't appropriate. Recently, Kate did not want to eat or drink tea. She did not even have much energy at work. Although she was still busy every day, she even did not know what exactly she was busy with. Zach had not called for 3 days in a row. Previously, he had called her every day. This made her feel a little uneasy. This restless man, could it be that he had been completely mesmerized by some vixen and had played to the point of forgetting his home? Just as she was thinking about it, there was a knock on the door. Kate completely restrained her thoughts and tidied up her hairstyle. "Come in." She lowered her head and took a pen to sign the name on the document. Kate asked without looking up, "What is it?" There was no reply. And not only was there no reply, but the person also who had come had actually walked up to her. Kate wrinkled her pretty brows. She wanted to look up to see who was so reckless and dared to barge in front of her without even saying a word. In the end, just as she raised her head, an extremely nostalgic but extremely hateful handsome face appeared in her line of sight. "Kate, did you miss me?" Seeing that Zach had returned, Kate was so angry that she waved her little pink fist. "I hate you! Why did you quietly approach me? Who do I think it is? You are so detestable!" Zach hugged Kate from behind and then asked her, "Am I really that detestable? Do you really hate me that much?" Kate nodded solemnly. "Yes." Zach asked again. "Really?" Kate did not nod at this moment. Her tone was no longer solemn. In any case, it was a little pitiful. It was different from her previous strength. "It's fake. I was just thinking, did you, this restless fellow, get bewitched by some woman, so you forgot about me? You didn't even bother to call me. At this moment, Kate behaved like a housewife, waiting for her husband to come back. The more she behaved like this, the more people liked her. Zach hugged her tightly. How is that even possible? Even if I forget my name, I will never forget you. I still hope that you will accompany me for the rest of my life. You have to wait on me to wash my feet. You have to tend to me when I'm old. As Zach spoke, Kate protested. Why should I? Why should I serve you? I'm not a girl. Then how should you serve me? Tell me. Kate was so shy that her face turned red. She threw a pinch at Zach, but she was afraid that it would hurt him, so she did not want to use too much strength. Zach felt Kate's feelings for him. No matter how much he loved Kate, it wasn't enough. After giving her a fierce kiss on her tender cheeks, Zach took out a box from his bosom. It looked like a very ordinary jewelry box, but it was not very exquisite. After handing the box to Kate, Zach said to her, "This is a gift for you. Take a look." Kate took the box and carefully put it in her handbag. Then she pouted like a little girl and said, "I don't want to look at it in the company. This is a gift from my husband. I have to go home and sneak a look." Zach did not know what was the difference between looking at it in the company and going home. Why did she secretly want to look at it? It was not like he had to cover himself with the blanket and secretly look at the night watch under the blanket. After chatting for a while longer, Zach received a call from Larry. Larry was still in the city, dealing with the matter of annexing Lance's company, so he did not return on the same plane. "What's wrong, Larry?" "Director Marquez, something has happened to Lance. He has been targeted by 2 online film companies, and it is about to be beaten down. The internet is full of information about their company. It is half true and half false. It has gone crazy." To be able to make Larry call in a hurry showed that this matter was indeed not simple. Lance had really encountered a huge problem. Didn't you play the procrastination skill quite well previously? Don't you want to lower your head? Then please continue holding up your arrogant urinal. Let's see if one day you get smashed to pieces by someone else and see if you're really showy or not. I'm fine, Larry. You should come back too. Just let him pout there. When will he lower his head and call me? Larry thought about it on the other side of the phone. That was true. This matter was a big problem for Lance, but it was not a problem for Zach. For Zach, trouble that could be solved with money was never a problem. This was the big problem that Larry encountered this time. After being attacked by the financial department, he still didn't have any money at the end of the day. He had never heard of someone who slept with $10,000 and went to the financial market to attack. On the contrary, it was the financial tycoons and the big shots who had often bullied the weak. Therefore, Zach did not care about this matter at all. He would wait for Lance to break through his mental barrier and form the understanding of a worker before talking about it. Not long after, Zach hung up the phone, and the phone rang again. Zach looked at the phone and then picked up the phone. "Rector Lance, you called me right after I said goodbye to you. Do you miss me so much?" Lance rolled his eyes helplessly. "Stop pretending. Don't you know about my company? Let's get down to business. I won't drag this on. Don't waste your time either. Hurry up and buy it. Otherwise, when the share price falls, I'll declare bankruptcy after I've lost all my money. Your side won't be able to buy my company." Tisk tisk. Asking someone to pay me a visit was like asking for a debit. This attitude was not good. Before Zach said to him, "It doesn't matter. You must die first. When your side dies, I'll smack those 2 sides to death. That way, all of them will be mine. Using a portion of money to copy the foundations. How appropriate." Lance was stunned. "Director Marquez, this is not appropriate, right?" Zach replied, "I think it's quite appropriate."